Hello, friends. This is CJ. It has been a long time since I've been on here, so I'm sorry. I've been uh, focusing on other things, like getting my website up. I know I've talked about that a million times, but it's really hard to do a website. A lot harder than I expected, and I'm not like any kind of technology guru or anything, so it's probably something I should just like pay someone to do, but I wanted to do it. So and I have an instruction video on how to do it, but it's like something where I could do it over and over again and I still wouldn't remember how to do it. So it's not like intuitive to me. So um anyway, so I've been focusing on that and some other writing projects and stuff, but I did want to come on here and start making more videos again because I don't want to lose touch with everyone. I want this to be a regular thing where you can count on videos coming out at a certain time. So I'm gonna do one today just for the month of September, since September's coming up. So let's just do a general reading, month of September, and I will lay out the tiles. Let's put it back a little bit. I know it's hard to see from that distance, but I will hold up the tiles when I get to them. So this is for the month of September. I know things have been a little crazy, but I've been listening to the astrology for September, and they're like, "Oh, it's gonna get worse this month." So uh, I'm a little nervous. I thought it was gonna get better. Like, I don't know. I I thought it was gonna get better this month, but who knows? It's all just a process, and we're going through this transformation, and it's all gonna be good when we get done with it. But right now, it's a little crazy. And yeah, I'm looking at some of these cards, and yeah, it's reflecting that. But there's some good stuff in here too. So um, I know I don't really talk about astrology all that much, but there's difficult aspects. So there's like squares and oppositions where two planets are, a certain angle to one another, and it causes stress or just tension. And but that compels you into action too, because would you ever change if you weren't forced to go through something, you know? I mean, if everything was peachy, we would just all keep things the same, right? So if you need a change, sometimes things have to get really bad for you to actually take action to change it. So that's what those aspects are for. So September is a big mix. There's a lot of squares. There's Mars going backwards, which they call it stationary retrograde, which Mars is the planet of war. So it's been in some squares to some major planets lately, like Saturn and Pluto and Jupiter, all the planets that are in Capricorn, and now it's going to go backwards and make those same squares, and then it's going to go forward and make those same squares, and this is going to go on until basically the end of the year. So I don't see things just like resolving anytime soon, but then there's some really good, what they call trines, that are kind of helping ease things too. So it's not all horrible. Um, but let's see what the cards say. Okay, so this is our foundations. This is everything that's been leading up to now. That is I can't remember, I think it's called Old House, but basically your house, which is yourself, is falling down. Um, and this doesn't have to be physically, it can be, but whatever. I think we all get what this means. I mean, I'm doing it for the world in general, and since we're in the United States, it's probably going to pick up more of the energies of the United States. So this is like all the protests where places are being burned down and destroyed, um, and people are being hurt, and people being shot by police, and just all the chaos that's going on, and it's happening all over the world, not just here being the United States. My little neck of the woods is not that bad, really. I live in not a small town, but like a small city, and so here we don't see a whole lot of that, but you see it on the news, and we know that's going on in our country. So it's also happening all over the world. There's just a lot of tension and a lot of riots and destruction and stuff. So, but this guy looks scary, but this is the monster, and this is perceived, perceived monsters. So this is really, we're making things out to be worse than they are in our heads. So, you see people screaming about, oh, they're coming into our neighborhoods and they're gonna like burn down our neighborhoods. Well, that hasn't happened. I don't know how accurate this is, but I saw this guy, a video of this guy, and he was like ex-military or something, and he went to one of the protests in Portland, and he said basically it was a 4 square block area where they were protesting. They did not go outside that area. Now, this may have changed since he put out this video. I don't know. I thought they had kind of gone into some neighborhoods recently, but at that time when he decided to go to the protests just to see what happened, and he said, I don't know if they were federal agents or if they were police officers, but they came running out of the federal building, the courthouse where they were protesting, and they started pepper spraying everybody. And he was upset about that. So he, as a former Marine, he went up to them and didn't have a weapon or anything. He just kind of was, he said they didn't give him any warning or anything. They just came out and started like pushing back against crowds of people who were just standing there protesting, not really doing anything, And so he was like, don't you remember your oath that you swore to the Constitution? He said something like that to them. And I'd seen this before, but I hadn't heard him talk about it. They like took, they started spraying him right in the face, and they were like trying to beat him back with batons. I mean, and he wasn't doing anything. He was just standing there, and they were beating him with batons. So anyway, that wasn't the point that I was trying to make. The point is that everybody thinks that this is happening all over the United States. I've heard people say, oh my gosh, we've got a civil war going on out there. That's what this card is. It's us blowing things up in our head and making them out to be worse than what the reality is on the ground, because it's what you see on the news, and you think that that's the reality everywhere, and that it's just so horrible, when it's just one incident in one place. Like I said, where I live, there's nothing. We had protests for a little bit, and yeah, they got a little tense, but we don't have anybody looting or burning things down or destroying property or anything like that, so it's not going on everywhere. It's just happening in certain cities. So, and I think that's the same with everything, really. I mean, I don't downplay the coronavirus at all, believe me. I know that it's serious and everything, but I remember back in March when we all thought it was so horrible, and we had to go on lockdown. And where I live, there was just like very few cases, but it just seemed like every case that we got was like, oh, there's another one, So you can blow things up in your head, and yeah, it's just important to give yourself reality checks sometimes. So anyway, that's what's been going on. This is the obstacles that we're facing. Um, I see two really good cards on the obstacles, and when that happens, usually I read that as this is what needs to happen, but it's not. It's being obstructed somehow. So, um, this is the garden, and we're growing something new, and I think that's also something kind of obvious because, well, I don't know, it's obvious to me. I think a lot of people are just seeing the destruction right now, but I think we're stepping into a new phase as a country and as a world. We're moving towards something different than the old structures that we had, and it's going to be a positive change, but we have to go through the destruction phase to get to it, and so we're not seeing the growth yet that we'd like to see. So maybe the growth is stalled. You know, the growth is stalled through September. Um, we have been growing new things. We've been changing healthcare and changing education, for example. You know, changing our police system. You know, how we determine whether someone overstepped their bounds and that kind of thing. We're moving towards different ways, but it's stalled in September. Um, Volcano is always about an eruption of anger that's been pent up so long that it's overflowing, and isn't that real obvious right now? There's a lot of anger out there, and it's been, I think, especially with the racism that's been held in for a while because everybody was kind of like, or most people were like, well, you know, there's not that much racism anymore. I don't think we realized how bad it was until all this came out, and then we started to see examples and videos. And I mean, there's still people out there that can deny that it's racism, but I mean, let's face it. You know, the excuse for I'm sorry, I can't remember his name, but the guy who just got shot 7 times in the back. I actually did watch that video. I usually don't watch videos like that because I just don't want to be upset, and I already know what's going on, you know. But I did happen to watch that. I didn't know what it was, I think, and so they said he had a knife in his hand. That's what they're claiming anyway, but that's kind of in dispute right now. They did find a knife in his car. They didn't find any guns. But he was walking away. Like, he was walking towards his car, and the cop tried to pull him back by his shirt, and he wasn't going, and so he leaned forward, and the cop shot him in the back. Well, yeah, he might have had a knife, okay? We haven't even established that yet. But let's face it, the kid who came in with an assault weapon and shot 2 people out in the open in those protests. Now, we don't know the circumstances behind that, too. We don't know if he was defending himself or whatever, but we don't know the circumstances in this case either. We do know that the guy was not involved in the initial dispute. He was not the reason that the cops were called, and he got shot, you know, in the back. But when they went to apprehend the kid with the gun, well, and first of all, they didn't apprehend him at first. Everybody was saying he shot someone, and they just let him walk away. And then they did apprehend him, and they managed to do that without shooting him or even hurting him in any way. So I can't help but contrast those two situations where, like, the only difference is you had a black guy and you had a white guy, you know? To me, that's pretty obvious racism, but I know every circumstance is different, and you can't just draw conclusions without knowing all the facts, but it just seems like this is happening a lot lately, and we're seeing it a lot more, so it's out in the open, and it's kind of been pushed down since the civil rights movement, when they all went out there, protested, the government kind of caved and gave black people some more rights, and the Voting Rights Act was passed. And then it just kind of we kind of sat on it for decades. So it's been building up, is my point. And not to mention that there's been blatant racism going on in this country for 400 years since we took black people and made them into slaves, So, so that's that. This is just the boat, which represents like smooth sailing. We're not getting that right now. I don't know why that's in here. Maybe we're supposed to be heading that direction. I hope. That would be really nice. But we're not getting smooth sailing right now. That's not happening. That's why it's an obstacle. So, okay, here's actions that we need to take. So this is ice. It means everything's frozen right now. This card has come up many times this year because of coronavirus and everything coming to a stop and being frozen, So, but this is in the action. So this is saying we need to thaw out things, probably like relations with one another, because we're kind of all frozen into our little positions where we're like, no, I'm on this side, no, I'm on this side, and it's hard to talk to other people and see the other side's point of view, but that's what we need to do. We need to thaw out our relations with one another. This is neighbor. This is usually there's some kind of deceit going on. So you need to really look into things and see, am I being deceived? We really need to pay attention to the information that's coming in and sift and sort. And I'm surprised scales isn't in here because that's what that one's about. But yeah, there's somebody pulling the wool over our eyes, and I think there's a lot of that going on. There's been a lot of that going on for years, but right now they're saying be very careful about what information you believe, and don't trust people who claim to have your best interests at heart, because there's a lot of deception going on right now. And then this is just saying to have more joy in your life. So everybody needs to go out and dance and find what makes you happy and do it. Find ways to make joy for yourself throughout the day in whatever ways you can. I like to try and just create little moments of fun and laughter, when I'm at work, so. Okay, so these are hidden aspects. There's a lot of passion, and I'm trying to, is this on an individual level or is this on a collective level? Because this is usually sexual energy, but obviously that would make sense that we're all just going out looking for someone to be intimate with, but maybe we are, I don't know. It's in hidden aspects, so maybe this is just our passions for, because there's an election coming up, and there's a lot of things that people are passionate about. I think I kind of understand this. This is like, you see okay, so this is out in the open. This is the obstacles. You see a lot of eruptions from people, a lot of anger, but you don't know what their motives are. You don't know why people are so passionate. So, so that's what's hidden, is the motivations behind all the anger. What are people actually passionate about? They may not talk about that. You just see a lot of propaganda, a lot of rhetoric out there, and memes and stuff like that, but it doesn't really get to the heart of like what is causing this. Why are people so passionate? This is a change of seasons. Now, obviously, we are going into a change of seasons because we're getting close to the fall equinox, which is at the end of September. But this is also on a collective level. in the collective psyche. We're changing. Let's see, it goes along with this right here. We're changing from one paradigm to another. So that causes turbulence. You in the middle, there's kind of this wind. It's like, that's what the way I see it anyway. It's like it's turning, it's coiling, you know, it's causing some disruption because we're changing from one way of looking at society to another. So we're kind of in that in between stage. So we haven't manifested yet the society that we want to see. So we're in that in between stage. This is act now. You better take steps and act right now. There's a time crunch right now, and I guess we're not aware of it. And I don't know why there's a time crunch. I guess we'll find out in September, won't we? Maybe it's because the election's coming up. I don't know. I don't know. That's interesting, but whatever you need to get done, do it now. So, well, I guess we'll see. Let's look at the outcomes. Actually, the outcomes are really good. So by the end of this month, oh, that's interesting. Look at this image. So you have the tree that's growing up out of the ground, and then you have the root system. So as above, so below, is the message of this card. But I just think that's interesting that it's in black and white. That really, we're all one people, one. I like to say one person, but people can't grasp that. They can't understand how we're all one. It's like, how are we one? I'm so different from that person over there, but we are all a reflection of one another. So I just think it's interesting. That's in black and white. So here's you. If you are a white person, you're up here and you see yourself as that, but in the background is black. And then when you look at the reflection, it's a black person, and they are you. They're just you. They're just a reflection of you, and with the white in the background. So that's a cool image. So maybe we're gonna get some balance by the end of this month. Maybe we're gonna start seeing a little more balance. That's kind of cool. But this is also about like personal growth. So that's good. That's good. We're gonna go through some growth as a. Oh, look, I found an airsoft pellet. Okay, that's interesting. I'm in my son's room, so. And then, wow, and there's more black and white mirror image. That is incredible. That's so cool. Good. I hope we get some racial unity by the end of the month. We're going to start reflecting back to each other. Wow. Okay. I see that as a good sign. I don't know. So, who knows about the astrology or whatever, but yeah, that's looking good. That's looking like we're going to find some more balance. And then this is the yin yang symbol, of course. So I'm trying to think what I usually attribute this to. It's kind of like a balance between, the two parts of yourself, or the good and the bad, and how you have to, if you deny your dark side, then it's gonna come out because you just repressed it, basically. So you have to acknowledge it and accept it, and then you can notice and then work on whatever it is that you're needing to grow, or so that kind of thing. But yeah, that's really cool that those are both black and white, reflecting one another. Okay, so, and then this is helping hands. So there's gonna be a lot more people helping one another by the end of this month. These are all signs of like unity over here. I love it. So that's good. Okay, so I see some hope for the end of this month. I mean, obviously we're still going through some things and we're going through some changes, but I see some hope. So let's see how accurate this is. I'll come back, you know, I might do another one for the full moon or something, just so I'm in touch with everyone and all that. Or I could come back and do some astrology ones, because there's some major stuff coming up at the end of this year where a lot of planets are moving into Aquarius, and I know I've said it a million times, but Saturn in Aquarius. So been wanting to do a video on that forever, but I'm taking my time. See, Saturn went into Aquarius, I can't remember now, back in March or something. But then it went retrograde and then went back into Capricorn, and now it's gonna go into Aquarius, I think in December, and then there's gonna be a conjunction with Jupiter in Aquarius. And if you don't follow astrology, you have no idea what that means or what I'm talking about. But it's basically going from, we've been in Capricorn. A lot of planets have been in Capricorn, and we had a ton of planets in Capricorn. So that's kind of like the old way of doing things, you know, very down to earth and very materialistic. And then Aquarius is more about the collective good. So I'm optimistic about that. Let's just put it that way. And I wanted to do a whole video on that. So hopefully I'll be on again soon to do that. If not, just keep looking for those notifications, like and subscribe, and if you do that and you tap on the little bell, then you will get my videos anytime I put a new one on there. So look for the little bell, click on it. I have some people, loved ones, who are like, how do I get your videos or whatever, you know. So okay, so that's it, and love and blessings to everybody. Thank you for watching.